Hello, 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 and welcome to the Good Vibes Lifestyle happening every Thursday at 4 o'clock. So, I am Leslie Klein, and I'm so glad that you're here today with me to learn about this wonderful 828 portal. So, what is the 828 portal? Well, before I get into that, I do want to let you know that I am streaming to several Facebook pages, to LinkedIn and YouTube, and also Instagram. So from wherever you're watching, you can comment and say hi. So wherever you're watching from, please put it in the comments. I'd love to know how far we're reaching out there. And you can do this whether you're watching live or watching the replay. So let us get into it. It is 828, August 28th today. And so numerologically, each of the numbers from 1 to 9 have a certain kind of energy. And so when we see these numbers in our world, whether it's a date, whether it's a time, whether it's an address, a phone number, we can use these energies for different things, get symbolism and meaning from them. So let me talk to you about what the 828 portal is, which is today. So it refers to an energetic gateway that happens today. It in spiritual and numerological circles or numerology circles. Dates like this are seen as powerful because they are alignment days. And this is because these numbers are repeated or mirrored. So let's break this down. The number eight is represents abundance, infinite possibilities, manifestation, balance, karmic cycles. And it's also connected with personal power and stepping into leadership. So if you look at the eight, right, and you do it on its side, it's the infinity sign. And so that's that symbol of infinity, of always, moving and, things being infinite, going on forever. This is one of the reasons that number eight is seen as a manifestation and an abundance number. So that's the first eight. Number two in the middle represents partnerships, harmony, intuition, duality, and spiritual alignment. And so when we have eight and two and eight together, it suggests a balance between material abundance and spiritual alignment, calling you to trust divine timing and stay in harmony with your higher path. So today is a day that a lot of people into prosperity work feel that it's a great day to do investments. And investments don't always have to be of money, but it could be of time, of putting in energy into learning something new or planning a new venture or whatever kind of prosperity you're wanting to manifest in your life. Today is a very uh, uh, auspicious, like they like to say it in feng shui, auspicious day, a very kind of lucky day to do these kinds of things. So be aware of what you're doing today and maybe use this day, this portal, as a special time to set your intentions. I talked about setting our intentions on the new moon, which we had a couple of weeks ago, or about a week ago. So we're still in this new phase that we can be fine tuning and honing in on our and putting more energy into those new beginnings that we're looking to manifest. So I found this wonderful affirmation that is kind of corresponds to the 828 portal, and that is I align with divine abundance, balance, and infinite possibility. I am ready to receive. So, this is a great affirmation to say today. Last week, we talked about using water and speaking our intentions into the water and then drinking the water. So, this would be a great affirmation to write down and place it either on a glass of water or put the glass of water on the affirmation and kind of charge it before you actually drink it and integrate that into your body and your system. So that's what I've got for the 828 portal. And I'd love to know if this is something that you're going to be working on and trying to do. I plan on working with this energy today, doing a special meditation on it. So let's move now to some astrological news. So, what's going on in the planets, and this has been happening since mid August, is there's an alignment of 6 planets in a row. So, we've got Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all in a line. And we were able to see all of them before sunrise from August 17th through the 20th. Now, you can't really see Mercury at dawn because it's in the daylight, but it is still an alignment. So that ties into the 828 with the alignment spirit, everything in a row. So again, another manifestation or symbol of alignment and alignment with our higher purpose. Um, I talked about last week that the sun went into the sign of Virgo on August 22nd, just last Saturday. So the sign of Virgo has to do with being analytical and practical, organized. It's a very loyal sign, service oriented. And on the challenging sign of that Virgo energy is perfectionism, overthinking, being self critical, or have, it being hard to relax. But so, as far as the energy of Virgo, you don't have to be a Virgo to kind of tune into this energy because there is Virgo in your chart. We have all 12 signs in our chart. Some are more dominant than others. And then it depends on what aspects are happening with the planets that might flare up some of the energies in your chart. But the fact is that we're all in this sun being in Virgo. So again, these ideas of organization and being analytical and organized are energies that we're in right now for this month, most of end of August into September. So I like to look at that. And as far as the moon, the other object in the sky that we like to pay attention to, we're in the waxing phase of the moon because we had a new moon on August 23rd. And new moons are always times of new beginnings, times to plant the seeds of intention of what it is that we want to grow or accomplish in this next moon cycle. And we're waxing, meaning the moon is getting bigger and bigger, all the way to the full moon, which will be on September 7th. And September 7th, and I'm looking at my little fix my here we go about being perfection. My rising sign is 15 degrees Virgo, so I have half Virgo and half Leo as my first sign, which is personality, right? So the full moon will be on the 7th at 2:08 Eastern time, and it's also a lunar eclipse. So whenever we have a lunar eclipse, there's always a solar eclipse 2 weeks after. So the next new moon will on the 21st of September will be a solar eclipse. And so it's very interesting that just last week we had this new moon in Virgo. Now we're going to have a full moon that's going to be in the sign of Pisces, which is ruled by water. And then in another 2 weeks, we're going to have another new moon in the sign of Virgo. So we have this Virgo energy very prominent in our new moons coming up, and also being that the sun is in the sign of Virgo as well. Now, this lunar eclipse on the 7th will be fully visible across Asia, Australia, Europe, and Africa, and it lasts for 83 minutes. So this is one of the longest total lunar eclipses in recent years. And the fact that it's going to be in the sign of Pisces is very interesting because Pisces is the zodiac's final sign. It's very deeply intuitive, emotional, imaginative, and spiritual. And it's like I said, it's also ruled by water, right? It's a water sign. So the fact that it's a full moon and it's in a sign of water, look for situations in the world where there's going to be a lot of water or very little water, but there's going to be something tied to water around this lunar eclipse because lunar eclipses are like a triple full moon. The full moon is when things go to their fullest, right? And this is when like a rose that's blooming, it's a bud when it's a new moon, but when it gets to the full moon, it's blooming fully. And then after the full moon, eventually it deteriorates and goes back and wanes. So that's the cycle of everything. It's birth, growth, death, and then rebirth again. It's always that cycle, whether you see it as a spiral or as an infinity sign. We're always, in this cycle on many different levels. So that's the full moon that's coming up, and I'll talk a little bit more about that next week because we still have some time before we get to that point. Um, Also, let's see, I told you that the second Virgo new moon will be on the 21st of September, and that will be a solar eclipse. So let's switch over now to UAP and UFO disclosure. The big news is still that there will be a public hearing on September 9th of 2025, which is very interesting because that's a 999 combination. And nines have to do with endings and things coming to completion. So it's going to be very interesting to see this public hearing because there are going to be the whistleblowers that are coming out. We've been told that they're expecting five firsthand whistleblowers, meaning they've seen ETs, interacted with them, or the biological beings, or the craft. And this is going to be kind of put on the record in Congress. So I will be streaming this information or this live stream through a program called the Disclosure Dialogues that I just started last month, and we're going to be streaming live the hearing and doing some pre-hearing commentary and post-commentary with Citizens for Disclosure coordinators. And, just I want you to mark your calendars for this very exciting and very exciting and historic event, really. So it's going to be amazing. If you can be there, be there. And you watch us. I'll be giving you information as we get closer to it. So, with the UAP disclosure, as you may or may not know, I'm one of the state coordinators for Florida with Citizens for Disclosure. And the coordinators, have been very busy reaching out, having these 15-minute meetings with staff of the different Congress people to let them know about the UAP Disclosure Act that's going to be coming up for vote later in both the Senate and the House later in September. So this Disclosure Act makes it so that like 18 different intelligence agencies have to uh, provide the UFO UAP information that they have, especially if it's over 25 years old, and they have to put it in the National Archives. And there's a deadline for this as well. So the legislation that's coming through, it's just very important. And Citizens for Disclosure is all about kind of being that grassroots effort to push our Congress people to do the right thing and get disclosure out. Now, I want to share, let's see, share screen. I want to share a little bit from Danny Sheehan. And let's see if this is going to, how this will, okay, so I need to do this and make it bigger. So if you want to be a member of Citizens for Disclosure, a volunteer, you can just sign up for the newsletter on the newparadigminstitute.org website, and I'll put that on the post. But what happens when you do, you get their newsletter, and we're always getting every week information from Danny Sheehan, who is the president of the New Paradigm Institute. And so he was talking about Representative Eric Burleson, who made a comment about the administration being briefed on these Nordic extraterrestrial beings. So, in Congress, they know that, there are several different species of, of the, let's see, sorry, I'm trying to check my screen to see if I have it right for you. Okay, yes, that's all right. Let me get this big again. Here we go. All right. So in this newsletter, he talked about the Nordic archetype. So Burleson, and actually it was an astrophysicist, Eric Davis, that shared in one of these congressional meetings that there are four. He was asked by Eric Burleson, how many, tell us about the species that they know about. And he talked about four of them, one of them being the Nordic. And so here's a little bit of information about the Nordics. So this man, George Adamski, he is standing in front of a painting by Gay Betts, who depicts one of the Nordic space pilots that he met in the Mojave Desert of California. So this George Adam, Adamski, he describes these beings as being benevolent, tall, blonde space brothers from Venus. And these beings were later dubbed Nordics from the strikingly human northern European appearance, from their northern European appearance, the Nordic people. Then this man in the 70s, so that was in the 50s, in the 70s, contactees like Billy Meyer described encounters with Nordic looking beings from the Pleiades cluster. And they urged humanity to avoid nuclear war and live in harmony with nature. He described them as tall, blonde, blue eyed, and very human looking. So they also claim to only be slightly ahead of humanity's technology, only a few thousand years beyond us technologically. Also, the tall whites, and I just listened to this video by this man, Charles James Hall. He describes these beings as chalk white, 6 to 7 feet tall, less human like in demeanor, and allegedly interacting with the US military at Nellis Air Force Base. So I did listen to this interview with this man, Charles James Hall. He is a nuclear physicist, but when in the 60s, he was working at this Air Force Base, and his job was to do the weather balloon, and his work was unclassified, so he could actually talk about this. And he wrote several books. It has to do with millennials, yeah, generation of millennials. I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, but if you look up Charles James Hall, you'll find it. And so these beings would come and observe him doing the work, and it was just really interesting what he was saying about these Nordics. Um, what else here from this letter? So I just wanted to share this with you, that the Nordics have been actually working with our U.S. military, according to this man, Charles James Hall, and others, and been working with us. And that this man, Mr. Hall, was talking about how there's a base way below that these ETs actually live. These Nordic beings actually live, and they've been working with our military. They've been swapping technology. They actually use parts that our defense contractors make. So very interesting stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you, and let's get back to it here. Let me stop sharing. And now, Danny Sheehan, I told you about last week, has a podcast out. And let's see if I can remove this. There we go. And so you can go to this tiny URL and listen to it. He's only into his third or fourth episode so far, but definitely check it out, because then you'll hear more from Danny Sheehan, who is very much into this Citizens for Disclosure and the UAP disclosure effort. And again, if you want to become one of the grassroots activists, go to newparadigminstitute.org. You can just sign up for the newsletter, or you can volunteer to be a volunteer for Citizens for Disclosure. We're doing things like writing, emailing, calling our Congress people about this UAP bill. But it's really great because you really get an inside, in kind of an insider's information on what's happening on the front lines of UAP disclosure, at least from the government level. Okay. And I told you about the disclosure dialogue. So on the 9th of September, whenever the uh, um, hearing happens, we will be restreaming it. I will be doing it on this program called Disclosure Dialogue. So that's going to be very exciting. And if you want to see the first edition of this, the first episode, you can go to this tinyurl.com/disclosure dialogue 1 with the capital D. So I will be sharing more of that as we get closer to the date. So let us move on. So it is time for the Oracle of the Month. And this month's oracle, and this week will be the last week that I'll be working with this tarot deck. It's called MindScapes Tarot with John Rice. And let me share my camera with you. Let's see which this is better. This one, you can see it better. So this is the booklet that comes along with the deck. And I don't see any comments because I do want to say if there's a question that you want to ask this tarot deck, we can do that. Because generally I just pull a card asking for whatever spirit wants to give us as far as information, what we need to know for our highest and best good at this time, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Because remember, there's no time or space in quantum physics. We're all connected. And, if we're open to it, we get the information that we need. So let us pull a card. And the card is, here we go, Six of Spires. So the spires, I believe, each tarot deck creator will sometimes change their the meaning. There's pentacles, cups, swords, and wands that represent the four elements. So in the spires, that's considered the sword. So he's calling it spires, but it's the sword in the traditional tarot. So here are the key words for the Six of Spires: escape, transition, reconciliation, travel, relocation, or change. The planet and the zodiac sign are Mercury and Aquarius. We are in the age of Aquarius, by the way. The element is air. All the swords, the spires would be considered air. Symbols: sunrise and mist, bridges, and greenery. So those are some of the elements that he has in this picture he's drawn. Okay, and here's the message. As the sun rises over the towering mountainscape, slender bridges crisscross imposing chasms toward a promising horizon. Greenery clings to the mountainside and provides a symbol of growth and hope for the future. Though the bridges appear fragile and precarious, they serve as conduits for transformation and change. The uneven pathways are the only way to traverse the mist-laden valleys, where heavy fog obscures the view and hangs like a burden that travelers cannot quite escape. Consider the uncertain paths you are treading in your own journey. Embrace their twists and turns, knowing that each step forward brings you closer to greater opportunities and possibilities. After all, it is within the misty unknown that the greatest discoveries await, and the challenges only make the reward more worth the effort. So he has some journal prompts, and I will read them to you. What baggage am I carrying that prevents me from moving forward? What supportive people or resources could help me navigate setbacks? Negative beliefs or self talk patterns that would hold me back include: how can I better practice self compassion and forgiveness? And the last one is: 5 small actions I could take to make progress in my life include. So these are all great journal prompts where you can, get into a meditative state, ask these questions, like write it on the top of the page, and then just write and see what comes up. It's amazing because all the answers are within. We just have to ask the questions and listen for the answers. So that's the Six of Spires. And let's see, I don't really have anything that's coming to me at this particular point regarding the Six of Spires. I usually try to think of what the Six of Swords, and I think the Six of Swords is traditionally they're in the boat with the lady and her child going across, moving from stormy waters to calmer waters. It does represent moving forward and that kind of thing. So very interesting about this, especially about what resonated for me is getting rid of the baggage as we're getting into these new beginnings and we're in this new moon cycle. We're coming to the peak at the full moon. We're in this, time of new beginnings as we get close into fall, this new season. What can we let go of so our burden is lighter, so we can move forward and then have the room to bring in new stuff. So that's what I got with this particular card. So let us pull that off there. And let's talk a little bit. I like to talk a little bit about spiritual activism whoops, that's the wrong one. There we go. Spiritual activism. And so again, I think the best way to be active, besides doing peaceful protests, which is part of our First Amendment right, and speaking up, and if we see something wrong, looking for accountability on that to make sure that, people are doing the right things, but our power is we are in charge of ourselves. The only real control we have is about the control over what we do, right, as people. And so, one thing that I think is really great is to meditate and send peace and love to the planet. And Pam Gregory, the astrologer from the UK who I've mentioned, started this on Sundays and now does it every day. It's 7 o'clock in the UK time, which translates to 2 o'clock Eastern time. So what she's recommending, and what I'm also recommending, is that we, for just 15 minutes, without any tech or anything, just to go silent and meditate and send love and light to the planet. And by sending that positive energy, those good vibes to the planet, we make a difference. And that's one of the most powerful ways that we can be spiritual activists. So I do want to share that with you. And as a reminder and encouragement, I share this with you, but I'm also reminding myself to do the same. Now, let's see. So what else do I want to talk about? All right. Well, I guess we're going to talk about, and my tip of the week keeps not wanting to come up. Why is that? Let me try it this way. So every week I have a tip of the week to raise our vibration. There it is. And last week's tip had to do with practicing the water manifestation technique. And if you missed it, you can do this anytime, this technique. But this is where we're speaking our intentions into the water and we're drinking it in a very respectful and kind of sacred way. I put the directions to that. It's in my last week's video and it's also in the description. So what I do want to talk about this week, tip of the week, was inspired again by Pam Gregory. She's one of my favorites. And I'm going to see if I can share the screen. How do I share the screen? Share the screen. I want to share the screen. Okay. So here is Pam Gregory. And yeah, there she is. Let me get myself smaller so you could see her better. And I may actually take her off when I can figure out how to do that. So Pam Gregory, I'm going to share this little clip. She's talking about water, and this inspired this week's tip of the week. So let me go ahead and share this with you right now.
But water, as Veda has said, is condensed light. So it's the water that is also carrying those light codes too. And the water, I feel, is becoming more, I want to say luminous, more radiant, more crystalline. I'm really feeling that because, of course, when we drink the water, we are liquid crystal. We're made up of water. By molecular count, as Veda says, we are 99% water. And so it isn't just the light codes that we have streaming in through the air. And by the way, the air contains water molecules too. It's as we drink the water. And I heard Kelly Kolodny recently, and this had come in a channeling of Archangel Raphael, and it's in a very short 5-minute video on YouTube, which I'm struggling to re-find again. But in this, Archangel Raphael said that if 35% of us blessed our water before we drank it, that would get us to unity consciousness. Isn't that amazing? How easy is that? to bless you.
So that's what I wanted to share, that part right there. She talks about how easy is it to bless our water. So that's, oh, and we got some comments. Sorry about that. Uh, yes. So let me take her off the screen. How do I stop the share? I don't see it. There we go. So, uh, Pam Gregory was talking about from this person, Kelly Kadalagny, who apparently was channeling Archangel Raphael, that if just 35% of us on the planet bless our water before we drink it, it will change, it will help create unity consciousness. So, that because of that, I am going to share. Where is it? This week's tip of the week is to bless your water before you drink it so we can help us get to unity consciousness. Now, I do see I've got a couple of comments on here, so I want to acknowledge those. And Kristen Gieslin is saying, and happy birthday, Kristen. I believe her birthday was yesterday. She says, I'm so pleased you're continuing with spiritual activism. Of course, starts with self sovereignty. I'm hearing some people are I'm hearing some people afraid to get sucked in, so they avoid looking at what is happening in the world. Now is the opportunity to be in the world and not of it. So, yes, Kristen, I totally believe that. And as we're blessing the water, as we're sending positive energy to the planet, we're making a difference. And here she also says, my crown chakra turns on when I listen to Pamela Gregory about the light codes in the water. Yeah, so there's so much new technology that's coming out that is really important for us to be aware of, and take these little actions, these little steps. You know, it is a habit to not only bless our water, but bless our food before we take it in and really see our bodies as sacred temples. And that has to do with the sovereignty and respecting, who we are as, children of the light, children of God, points of light, uh, parts of the cosmic consciousness. What we have way more power than we give ourselves credit for, and power in a positive way, not in a lording over way, but really the power to change our reality and to create the heaven on earth that we all deserve. So, my friends, bless your water before you drink it and see how you feel. See what kind of difference that makes in your life, because I know it will. And I will do the same, especially on this 828 portal. I want to thank you all for watching today. And if you receive some benefit from this episode, some tips to raise your vibration, please share it with other people. Subscribe to the channel. My main channel is on YouTube. It's at Raise Your Vibe and Thrive, spelled out Andy. Um, you can find us there, or just go to good-vibes.tv. That'll take you all the places that I am on social media. So again, I want to thank you. And we have one more comment before I go. Yes, Kristen. She says, thank you. Yes, yesterday was my birthday. I'm feeling very positive about living into 62. Yay. Yes, happy birthday, Kristen. And I'm right behind you because I'm going to be 62 this October. So life is good. And, I'm just living life and doing the most to create the best world we can. And it all starts from within. So, blessings, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Peace out, everyone.